up for G2, and it's going to be their first win in the spring season. Oh, yes! Hook shot, unstoppable! Outplayed! Oh, God, that's disgusting!
Oh, my goodness.
There's some big names on this team here.
Vanda is untouched! He shoots up the arrow!
Vanda, the AD carry, God!
Let's go, Vanda!
And I'm looking at this roster to be a top 4.
Will he get the quadra kill? Looks like Smittyj wants to bring it home. Nope! Ryze gonna take it in the end. Nexus knows! They're on the Nexus together, Vedius! The Unicorns! They're done before you have it! And Splice take down the Nexus and they take the win!
Welcome to Berlin for week 2 of the LCS Spring Split. We got a lot of action in store for you today, and it all builds up to the Clash of Kings, G2 versus Fnatic for our final game. Hello everyone, I'm Eva Sjokz supporter, joined here by Andrew, Vedius, Day. As said, the Clash of Kings is later. We're building up the tension here in the studio for that, but they may not be the Kings right now, actually, now that I think about it.
No, I mean, when you look at the performance of Fnatic and G2, they have been on a bit of a downward trend, which is very surprising given that this Fnatic roster barely changed anything. So hopefully they'll be able to change things up as we move into day 2 of week.
Yes, because we can take a look at the current Kings, Team Vitality, and before the split, few would have expected Vitality to fight at the top. They've taken the LCS by storm, however, and they are currently undefeated in first place, 3-0.
Yeah, they are currently the leading dominant team here in Europe. Bit of a surprise to see teams like Giants and Rocket joining them up towards the top end. We'll see how things progress.
And some teams at the bottom.
And some teams down at the bottom with Splice and Unicorns. Definitely not what we expect.
No, but I'd like to talk a bit more about Vitality because their rookies, Jacktroll, Smittyj, and Sjokz all have been a very big part of the team's success, and they're making the magic happen.
Oh, they certainly are. Sjokz, this man should not be allowed Ryze. His performance on it has been spectacular. Mechanically, he's demonstrated his stuff, and it really goes without saying EU mids, man. When you compare that up alongside Smittyj and Jacktroll, the fact that Smittyj yet to die this split, thanks to the consistent support he's had from Jacktroll, these rookies have really made a name for themselves already.
Yes, I'm very excited to see them playing today as well. And going into the week, the main story was the rise of the underdogs. And this continued yesterday, as Giants and Rocket put on great performances against G2 Esports and Splice, securing their second wins. So is it about time that we stop calling them underdogs?
Well, for me, I'm still going to wait a little bit longer before I'm fully sold on the hype train that is Giants and Rocket, but there are a lot of positive things to say about them because you look at this Giants team, you can see that they're working extremely well together for what was not really expected to be a close unit team. And for Rocket, their Baron play is absolutely spectacular. I've been nothing but impressed with how they've been able to play these mid to late.
Well, I'm done calling them underdogs. I think we should count for the beginning of the split, and they look super strong. But teams that do not look that strong are the ones that we may have expected at the top of the standings. Fnatic and G2 not picking up that many wins so far, not looking completely in sync so far, which is understandable. I did see a couple of tweets from the G2 members like Wadid being really disappointed in how things were evolving. So they're obviously not too happy themselves with how things have been going.
You would imagine that there is a lot of frustration considering the legacy of G2, but they did have a bit of a rough split last season and they were able to turn things around as the season progressed. So G2 fans would hope to see the same things, but given the caliber of players that you look at on both rosters, we were expecting a little bit more. But in the mid game is where we see a lot of the issues arise for both these teams. I'm hopeful that they'll be able to rectify some of those issues moving into today.
Well, they have to today because G2 and Fnatic have a chance to answer back as they face off in the match of the week at the end of the day. But 4 matches coming our way. Before that, there are a lot of thrilling ones. Vitality versus Misfits, though, is the one that I personally have my eye on.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome to see the most exciting set of rookies since Misfits going up against this Misfits squad.
We'll see. But in our first game, we've got H2k going up against Giants. And just to remind everyone, H2k replaced their entire roster before the split with 2 rookies, Caedrel and Sheriff, as their main carries. And Caedrel, that man in the mid lane, is going up against against Betsy. And this morning on Esports, an article went up, an interview with Betsy, where he rated all EU LCS mid laners, and he rated Caedrel, this man, dead last. Way to put fire under this matchup, Betsy.
Yeah, I mean, Betsy did not have the strongest performances last split, but coming into this season, he's been looking really good. Caedrel, unfortunately, he had a few nerves. He didn't have quite the same sort of level of play that we kind of expected from some of the other rookies, and things like his Malzahar weren't good. Yesterday, he didn't have a great game. I hope he read the article. I hope he read it, because I'm looking forward to seeing if he can put a fire under his seat and really show that, you know what, I'm here to play, I'm here to strut my stuff, and I'm here to say that I am not the worst mid laner, and I'm going to prove it today.
Well, we'll see. And as for the squad as a whole, we have seen last week they lost versus Vitality. They won. They bounced back and beat Fnatic. So they should have the resilience to bounce back from their performance yesterday today, because we've just seen it. That
is what I'm hoping for from this H2k lineup. I want to see confidence. I want to see the same sort of proactivity that a lineup like Vitality was making, because I think this team can do it. We saw them do it against a team like Fnatic. So I'm looking forward to seeing them move back up and show a little bit more of what they've got.
Well, let's take a look at their opponent, Giants, who have been one of the best performing teams so far. And one of the big reasons for that success is, well, their top laner, Ruin, this guy who was definitely underrated. We didn't know what to expect exactly, and I don't think anyone could have foreseen what he has shown on the Rift so far.
He's the only remaining player on this Giants roster, and he was considered the weak link to the team. Not many eyes were on him, but coming into the LCS, he's mainly played tanks. He continued that kind of tradition with the Gnar, but oh my word, his performance was spectacular. Landing so many multi-man Gnar ultimates, the fact that he was roaming and always in the right position at just the right time. This guy is here to prove that he is one of the best top laners in Europe.
Ruin making all the big plays, and hopefully he'll make some more today, as will the other players. And as we get ready for that first game, we also want to know what made you jump out of your seats in week 2. Hit us up at LOL Esports with your big plays using the hashtag EULCS, and we'll check them out in the EULCS post-game lobby after today's action. So, Giants looks like the strongest team coming into this one. H2k up and down. Where would your prediction lie, and why?
Right now, Giants are my favorites going into this matchup. I feel like that they have shown a much more consistent early game to that of H2k, and they know exactly how to transition that lead into mid-game advantages where they can close out the game. I love the fact that they've rounded out their draft a little bit more with scaling comps, so if it goes to the late game, they can answer. But H2k, if they can find some kind of early game changes in the draft, maybe they can match Giants, but Giants are still my favorites.
Giants, the favorites of Vedius. The stage is set for our first competitors to load onto the Rift, so let's leave it to our casters for picks and bans.
Thank you very much, Sjokz, and greetings all you esports fans out there in the world. I'm Devin, Piratechnics Young. Alongside me, of course, is Martin Deficio Linga. I like our little chemistry, Martin. You know, I'm an American, you're a Dane. Together, we're like any LCS team. It's perfect.
All right, that was really good.
Yeah, thank you. I get that once.
I like it.
And yeah, all right. You ready to rock and roll for today, though, Martin?
Yeah.
H2k, Giants. I think Giants generate a lot of hype for themselves right now.
I mean, on paper, before the split, you look at this matchup and you're not getting too excited. But now, after we've seen 3 games from all the teams, you actually are pretty hyped, because both these teams have been doing fairly well. H2k against Fnatic, that was a pretty sick comeback. And Giants, one of the top teams in Europe at the moment.
Yeah, they're really up there right now. And considering this was a team that a lot of people looked at, oh, you know, they lost this core that got them into the LCS that now became Vitality. They are completely wrecking people, and like they pointed out on the analyst desk, Ruin, everyone thought he was a weak point, but this dude is stepping up huge. We'll talk more about him into the game, but first we got to get through the pick and ban phase.
Yeah, Ruin is definitely one of the MVPs so far, if we have to judge after just 2 weeks of play, but another pick and ban phase on 8.1. No big changes happened just
no
yet.
No new picks.
No new picks. Next patch, Pyra, unless the hotfix was enough. Vladimir being banned away, because Smittyj has already taken this one twice and done really well in the late game.
Yeah, I wonder if that's where Giants will focus most of their energy.
Tom Kench ban.
I know you're happy about the Tom Kench ban. We'll see if they ban out any less.
I also want to talk
champions.
about why this ban is really good here. Targamas, the Giants support, young kid, 17 years old. Been playing a lot of Tom Kench already, and he's actually really good at using the ulti to lane swap. So Giants get a lot of advantages by him, you know, recalling with Steeelback, quickly swap up to top side with the Tom Kench ult. He's doing well in team fights on this champion, so I'm happy to see H2k targeted and say, you know what, Targamas, what else can you play?
We'll see how deep he's dipping into the champion pool, and no surprises with the next set of bans. Zoe off the table, Kalista, those are 2 of the most banned champions we've had here in Europe so far.
I think Zoe's a waste here from Giants. H2k have left Zoe open twice, not taking it on their own, been happy giving it over to the other team and play against it. Giants ban it. It might be because they're afraid if H2k picks it, they don't have an answer, and they don't want to take that chance. That H2k have just kind of been saving the Zoe for later, but on paper, not a necessary ban. They really hate Smittyj. They really hate Smittyj.
They do not want to let him play a lot of fun League of Legends. Now, Sejuani's also banned by H2k's side, so no first pickable there for the Giants. Now, what are they going to start off with?
Of course.
Yeah,
yes.
It's the classic.
As you have to. Azir was left open by Giants last time. They took the Veigar for Betsy against it. Ryze is also there as the mid lane choice we have to look at. It is instead for Steeelback. Focus on the hyper scaling. Braum is a good pick for H2k here against it if they want to, just to take it away from Giants. But late game, you sometimes want a bit more engage against one of these hyper carries that has very low mobility, and then actually you want to look at maybe something else that had a bit more hard engage tools, but I think Braum is just a safe choice.
That's a good start there. Promisq. We'll see what H2k follow up with. They want to round out their bottom lane.
Well, Jarvan Santorin likes to play that.
Yeah, that's still up and available. I mean, only one jungle banned away, really, with that Sejuani, so he's kind of got his pick.
Yeah, Jarvan could be the choice or preferred mid laner if they really want to pick the Ryze away, but Santorin has been pretty simple so far.
It's good engage, too.
I mean, it's just a solid pick against a hyper carry, so no big surprises. Kind of deal with this patch where we very often have random surprise picks.
Well, this one wouldn't be maybe the most surprising for Djoko in particular, but it would be a little bit off the beaten path if he ends up locking in the Olaf. I don't know if he's going to do that. Might be having some fun with it instead.
And if Giants do not pick their mid laner here, H2k can grab theirs and ban away 2 counter picks. So that could actually put Betsy in a tough spot if they don't want to show either Ryze or Azir. I think he can just grab the Ryze. I like it with the Gnar top lane. Good combination to play around in the early game. Azir is also fine. I'm never going to hate on that.
Either one's safe. You can get a little disengaged with the Emperor's Divide. And of course, they want to build as much protection as they can for that Kog'Maw. I hadn't talked as much about the Gnar, though. Ruin completely wrecked on that champion yesterday.
We definitely will need to talk a lot about Ruin in-game and what exactly he's doing when he gets an advantage, because he's very good at applying pressure to multiple lanes, even as just a simple top laner. H2k, do they want to grab the mid lane choice? We've seen Caedrel be picked against Azir already over in the LCK. Camille, okay, I like it.
Yeah. Well, another band's thrown Smittyj's way. We got Camille in. Okay, so there's some engage.
We're gonna get some action right there. Camille against the Gnar in top lane. Smittyj feeling confident. He can punish Ruin when he's in his mini Gnar, when he's squishy. I like it. Also tells me Santorin is gonna play around that side. Action, Pyra.
Top lane action especially. Well, could be a very explosive early game for both teams. Let's see, as we enter ban phase 2, what's going to get taken off the board? The Kha'Zix, or it's H2k already having their jungle locked in, want to take away as much as possible.
On their side.
Once you see what Betsy can do with it, no one else can.
I mean, surely they're going to ban Ryze as well. Like, I know Veigar specifically picked against Azir, great use of his stun, but Ryze is still on the table and is still considered one of the best mid lane picks. Great synergy with things like Camille and Jarvan as well, because you can push the lane early as Ryze and then go top lane. So that should be a ban from Giant side.
Scunner ban on the H2k side, though. Saw that picked a couple times yesterday. Did not exactly do much. There was a really sick lantern grab.
Could we get the Djoko Olaf?
I think it's certainly possible.
Early game.
It's certainly possible.
I mean, he's the kind of jungler who likes to go all in early. They actually do not ban the Ryze. They get rid of Galio instead. Kind of the same deal with being able to play around top side. Unless Caedrel simply does not want to play it, and Giants is saying, yeah, we think you're not going to pick the Ryze, so we don't care. Well, there it is.
It's, yeah, pretty much foregone conclusion.
How predictable.
Yeah, well, it's 8.1 mid lane meta for sure, but the more interesting thing is what is Djoko going to do? Here's a bold prediction. He's not going to play any jungler he has already played this split.
He could go Jax jungle. I actually think that's pretty good here.
We saw that earlier, LCK.
Zac is also fine, Djoko, but where's our fighting junglers?
Okay, so when they're putting this one together, they have the Zac. He can bounce around. There's some good engage here. It looks like everyone's equipped to go into the back line except the Kog'Maw, though. What do you make of this so far?
It's just very, very strong late game team fight with 2 insane carries sitting back. What's Targamas gonna play in the bot lane? Because Braum and Kench are gone. Kind of been preferred choices for most supports. Alistar is available, sometimes banned. Taric is another one that we don't see in Europe very often.
No, not lately at least.
North America loves Taric. They pick him all the time.
Clearly we know what Targamas is watching after the games are all said and done. And now for H2k, the last thing we do need to see is an AD carry pick, as Sheriff had neglected. Now he has shown us some interesting stuff. We've gotten the Vayne, we've gotten the Kalista. Oh, it's going to be more standard with the Caitlyn. I had a hope for a second that the Jinx was coming in.
Maybe next patch.
Maybe next patch.
Maybe. But overall, I actually think H2k's draft here is very solid. I love how active they can be in the early game around every single lane. And with an early game jungler that can gank. Giants is the cookie cutter 8.1, scale into late game, never lose late game team fights, and you play for 0 kills in the early game. But H2k should prevent that from happening. They should be able to get some early advantages.
That being said, Giants had a very typical scaling composition yesterday as well, but they opted to fight early on when they didn't have to, and they still somehow came out ahead.
Doing it for the viewers.
Yeah, there we go.
Entertaining everyone, but I really want to see Smittyj get an advantage in the top lane with Camille. You can have the Jarvan, you can have the Ryze playing around the lane. Bot lane as well, when you have stun with Caitlyn trap. Good combination, so it's on Giants to play defense for 25 minutes. Get 2 full items and then start looking for team fights, but early on we're all looking at H2k and what Smittyj can do in the top lane.
Now Smittyj looking for his time to shine up against Ruin. It will be no easy feat. This is the guy that has pulled off some pretty impressive outplays, and we saw yesterday just what he could do on the Gnar, but Smittyj wants to challenge him, take him down. Of course, if this game gets real late, there's always that timer when you're looking at the Kog'Maw in Steeelback's hands, so there's the secret hidden threat. Not so hidden, I suppose.
There's Betsy, the man who rated Caedrel as the worst mid laner in the EULCS over on LoL Esports with this interview. He's now facing the Ryze in the mid lane, a matchup we've seen a million times already.
So no accounting for the difference in champions, of course. It's all going to be about who is the better mid laner. Maybe, just maybe, Caedrel can show up and shut up Betsy. We'll find out. We're loading on to Summoner's Rift for day 2 here in week 2, the European LCS Spring Split.
Dramatic.
We got the bird's eye view.
All right, Caedrel is running Dematerializer. It's a little weird item you see next to the stopwatch. And it's something we see more and more from mid laners. It's very good to use it against cannon minions that take a long time for you to kill as a Ryze in the early game to make sure you can actually push against things like an Azir and then allow the Ryze to leave his lane and go top or bot lane with the ulti. So it is mainly here, or simply here, to just allow you to get a bit more push in the laning phase, and mainly against the big cannon minions and not against the caster minions that are really easy to kill anyway.
Yeah, inefficient use of the item. But no trickery to start this game off. A little bit of a move by Promisq to grab some vision. Spotted immediately by both the Giants duo lane. Looks like we're in for a relatively stock standard start. Blue and red buff on bottom side, taken by both junglers respectively. So Santorin, early game jungler Deficio. You talked about he's going to be able to do a lot in the early game, get in the lanes, get some action going. And you expected him to go up towards the top side. About what point in the game is this? Are we talking like 3-minute gank, like level 4?
Yeah, 3. We can have level 3, level 4 gank on top side. It's also okay to wait until level 6 on Smittyj if you want to play a little bit safer and you don't feel like there's a good opportunity to gank. But what's so interesting was yesterday, H2k played this game here. Actually, let's talk about Giants first, because their game against G2 showed us that Giants, they don't have to win the early game to do well.
They were up until this point, but against G2, fell behind, and look at that, the end of the game scaling.
Exactly.
Got them through.
Same thing they're looking to do in this game here. Let's see if Santorin can do something early on. It's not spotted. Just snuck his way around the corner.
Oh, looking for Betsy to flash, and they're going to get an easy peasy first blood. A nice little dragon strike, and it goes Santorin's way.
And that's why we like this H2k draft, because they want to be proactive. They want to make something happen. If we look at H2k when they played yesterday, it was such a weird game against Misfits, where absolutely nothing happened for 30 minutes other than 3 pauses because Alphari's PC was being completely garbage. 1 kill only in the game, and then at 30 minutes, HK went Baron, messed up the Baron fight, lost it, and lost the game.
Yeah, I mean, it looks so different. Yeah, that's
little
oh boy.
It was fairly even because of just 1 kill, and then at 30 minutes, after the pause, they said, let's go Baron. They all stood in the Baron pit, behind the Baron, and then everyone just died, and the game ended right after that. So I'm glad to see H2k say we don't want to play boring late game only. We need to play a bit more proactive. Santorin first gank is successful. We know there's kill pressure on top side with Smittyj. Dematerialize for Caedrel in the mid lane, and already an early assist for him, so he can try to get the push against Betsy a little bit later, and then he can leave. We should get some early action, some kills.
Oh, we already got one. Santorin was off to a good start. I want to see more,
I'm
absolutely.
addicted to early action now.
Oh, that's great.
I've been watching a lot of LCK, and I've been falling asleep almost at least half the games.
Yeah.
As long as you set your
I
alarm.
told you could turn on the LPL at the same time.
I actually do watch a lot of LPL now because they do fight a lot and they play a lot of unique things, which is very interesting. Also rune-wise. But with an LCK, typically, you can start the game, put your alarm on like 45 minutes later, wake up, watch the ending, and it's epic.
Yeah.
And then you can laugh at Promisq because he's casting every single game and he hates this meta.
Well, definitely had some longer games over there, but H2k proved yesterday that necessarily not the case in Europe with how fast it went down, but I think they probably want a different result than they had yesterday.
So, we're still tracking what Santorin wants to do after the first gank he pulled off. As we said, up top lane, it is fine to wait for Smittyj's level 6 to then see if you can actually tower dive onto Ruin. There's no stopwatch on this Gnar. Ruin has not gone for inspiration at all, meaning it's a little bit easier to tower dive him, especially in mid Gnar.
There's been a lot of vision invested all across the map for H2k, but they know where the Zac is. You can see the pings on him towards the Krug camp, and that means Santorin's going to be relatively in the clear if he wants to get the dive.
I like Caedrel's use of control ward on top side here, because that's the side they want to play towards on H2k. Here, top lane and mid lane. So they're trying to just block off any vision from Giant side, allowing more roams or potential ganks to happen, also allowing or forcing Betsy to play more towards the bottom side in his lane, making it much harder to react in case there is a gank top lane. He can't just move up and counter gank as easily. So I like the setup. Santorin and Djoko will find each other. France versus Denmark.
All right, Santorin getting most of the Raptor camp as Djoko picks up the last dregs of it. Still very early on into this game, H2k throwing their weight around, but not making any incredibly aggressive moves, minus the first blood we saw in the mid lane.
Djoko spots it, then he gets spotted himself. Santorin will defend. Good vision and good defense from H2k's side. Bot lane, not a lot should happen down here.
Dazzle, nice proc by Targamas, but Steeelback's gonna have a hard time farming for a little while. That puppy is going to have to get raised up big and strong before he can do the damage.
Look at Caedrel, he's just sitting in that side lane brush where he put the control ward. So right now, Ruin, he doesn't actually know if Caedrel's gone top lane.
Oh, Santorin's gonna get spotted.
That's fine though. Caedrel also shows himself mid. It's just he just sits in the brush, so he's out of vision. So the enemy team needs to call. Ryze is missing. Not really sure where he is. Be careful. And you can do that over and over. Instantly that control ward got killed. I actually think placing a control ward from Giant side on top lane was not the smartest. Should have just been a normal ward that wouldn't be spotted that easily.
Yeah. So Santorin, instead of trying to go up towards the top, he's focused most of his attention, most of his energies on the mid lane. Getting the one kill out of Betsy earlier on, but not able to shut down Ruin on this Gnar. Still be a while before that's going to be a pretty big threat to the H2k side. This is a team that, you know, they may have beaten Fnatic, but that's the only team they managed to take a win off of. So if you're H2k, you got to think, despite how good Giants are looking right now, this might be one of your better chances.
It's also kind of weird because if you're H2k, you looked at Rocket and Giants coming into the split, and you kind of said, okay, these are the kind of teams we need to beat, and the kind of teams we will have to fight against if we want to make, you know, playoffs and just crawl into the top 6. And now Rocket and Giants have been winning a lot of games already and done fairly well. And H2k only 1 and 2. We're still very early, so I don't think being 1 and 2 is a bad thing.
This is what happens when you go back to best of ones. It's hard to tell over a couple of weeks who exactly is the strongest team right off the bat. But there's no denying that, you know, teams like Giants and Rocket, well, a lot of people pegged as the underdogs, looking really, really good right now. And it is a ragtag group, but the Giants so far have kind of shut down the haters.
Also, with best of one, a lot of it comes down to how well your team plays on one specific patch, what your read is on that patch, and then also comes down to like confidence in how you're playing and the picks you're playing, because if you know that it works every single time that Targamas is playing Tahm Kench, whenever he gets that pick in Champ Select, you feel great for that one game, and you know exactly what you need to do. Now he's not on it this time around because it was the first ban from H2k. The Taric pick, also lane swapping. I love it with Giants, they always like to lane swap. Speed up the game a little bit, but H2k, they're matching just fine here.
Yeah, not too bad. Either way, you mentioned Giants needed to play the defensive game, not giving an opening for them to get dove on punished, just opting for the trade of towers instead. Of course, it will go H2k's way as they were a little bit faster on the draw. Nonetheless, they won't be too far behind.
Yeah, and this is not a surprise for Giants at all that they lost the race. They're still just trading for it, and they get to move out of the one-on-one lane top, but the problem for them is if they can't stop Infernal Drake, then this call actually ends up being pretty bad.
Djoko's gonna jump for it. He goes in. They peeled off for just a second. Smite stolen, and Djoko is gonna fail that flash, but he hops out anyways. Smash and grab for Djoko.
Risky plays from Giants, but it actually works. They get the Infernal Drake away from H2k, and they traded the turrets right here, so slightly down in gold, but Infernal Drake, big one, and that should have gone over to H2k.
Looked like Santorin smited a little bit earlier. Gonna have to take that one, take another look at that one if it comes up in the replay. But for Giants, you gotta feel good about that. You're down a little bit of gold. You've been pressured. You lost out on the base or on the tower trade, but you managed to pick up an Infernal. And if a scaling team comp is getting the Infernals, that's not gonna look so hot later in the game if you're H2k.
Oh, does mean the late game is even stronger, but doesn't really help them now that much. So for H2k, it's not the end of the world as long as they can actually get an advantage around the Ryze and the Camille here. Because one of the big things about Camille against Gnar is just once Camille actually gets enough damage through like Trinity Force, Gnar can't really just sit there and tank the damage he deals. And Gnar's damage in return is too slow. He can't burst her down. So Camille just wins the side lane. Let's see the smite. Oh, it's on 405. Tough to blame a Djoko there. I think the problem is more that they allow him to jump in when the Drake is so low, and then they can't really turn and get him into his passive or something, and then he can't use the smite.
Yeah, burned his flash. Of course, he was still able to get out between that and the ultimate. Caedrel utilizing that dematerializer, still has a couple of shots on it. And there's a fight in the jungle here. Djoko's gonna find Santorin, who hops right over. He's rooted up and pushed by Caedrel. He's not gonna go for it. No! He's gonna get that passive proc and stopwatch his way to freedom.
Yeah, he flashed in for that one just to get the passive here on Djoko. Not sure if the H2k thought that passive was already down, because they didn't get a kill, and that was a flash plus stopwatch used by Caedrel. Djoko is still around, so is Santorin on top side for now.
Pretty even between these two mid laners. We were looking at where the action was going to happen, thought it might be up towards the top, but of course the dual lane swapped up there, and now the junglers are getting interested as well. Steeelback on this Kog'Maw, just gonna be left to solo farm it out, but what are H2k planning in that river brush?
Recalling.
That is a most devious plan.
And now it is the Rift Hell Pyro being started, because Steeelback is stuck under his turret. Needs to catch up in farm. Very defensive build from his side already.
That makes sense too. Playing the Kog'Maw.
Yeah,
you're on a scaling comp. It's the cornerstone of that.
Just kind of sucks for you when the enemy shows up with the BF sword instead. And of course, Caitlyn in this case will just perma-push waves and trying to get down a turret. Good stop here from Giant's side. Do not allow the Rift Hell to just die. And I like the teams are being proactive. Still think that flash for Djoko in the mid lane, really not worth it, unless Caedrel was 100% sure there was no passive.
Yeah, it's a little odd. On one hand, it looks like both teams are kind of trying to, instead of fully committing, like feeling each other out a little bit, seeing if, oh, you know, maybe I can dive this guy into 1v2, maybe the jungler's there, I'm not so sure. And then you get stuff like that where you're flashing forward under tower.
Ruin is going to town on this bot lane at the moment.
He has such a huge CS advantage over this Camille right now. I'm getting kind of worried for H2k because we saw what he could do yesterday.
Early Ninja Tappy is so effective. Smittyj doesn't have enough sustain at the moment to deal with the poke. And he's still waiting for enough items to go for the all-in. I love Camille's items right now because what you can do with Sheen and Sterix is so good. Such a good combination in terms of raw damage where the Sheen gets buffed up by the extra base damage from Sterix. The shield helps you a lot. Become a bit of a bruiser. So later on, Smittyj will be very strong. But for now, they haven't played around his lane at all. That's why Ruin is doing well. Santorin looking for Djoko. Finds Ruin. Not the man you want to find.
Definitely not. Even though he's got no Mega Gnar bar, doesn't want to make sure he gives any chance over for Giants to punish him for moving into the enemy jungle. Now it's 1,000, excuse me, yeah, about 1,000 gold lead in favor of H2k, and most of that is off the back of farm difference, the tower first blood advantage. That's about it.
His top lane tower, though, will take some damage. I feel like every time Sheriff and Promisq pushes it in. At least get a few minion hits on it.
Yeah.
Again, this is what we talk about with the very defensive build on one side against the BF sword. Now pickaxe, also Caitlyn on the other one.
Yeah. I mean, Caitlyn always, that perennial lane bully, can pretty much shoot you down if you try to get stepped up too close and
Shoot and
back.
shut you down.
Yeah.
Both work.
Yeah. Well, Sheriff, he's the one doing the shooting. So that's how that works.
For now.
For the time being. We'll see what happens when Steeelback gets big enough.
And Steeelback's
Try
gonna
that
puke
saying
on
that
him.
5 times fast. Well, that is just a little bit less tasteful, I suppose. But now Smittyj still not confident that he can get the all-in. There's no tower here to fall back to. Ruin's got no Gnar bar, but he's not going to go diving for it just yet. It does seem like H2k are a little hesitant to pull the trigger here, Deficio. I'm wondering if they're going to fall into the same trap they did yesterday.
They still have plenty of time, in my opinion, to get stuff happening in this game here. Riftel is still an objective they can go for. They can play around the Sheriff lane, as we already talked about with how strong the Caitlyn is at the moment. Problem is they're not really getting Caedrel out of the mid lane at all. He's trying something now, but Ruin is smart. If you look at the minimap, Ruin is already backed away. The moment Caedrel went missing, Ruin stepped back. Now he actually went back in, so Caedrel might gank him.
All right, here we go. There's the all-in, but he's bringing a few friends, or at least one. Caedrel coming in for the assist. Ruin's going to get the hop-up. Flashes out.
Oh
H2k thought they had him.
Yeah, I thought that was a free kill right there. Ruin was baiting me as well, because he actually backed away. I was like, Ruin is smart. Look at this. He's avoiding the gank. Then he went back in. Started hitting Smittyj in the face. Almost cost him his life, but just a flash.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised he got out of there. It looked like H2k thought they had all the damage tick they needed, and it just wasn't nearly enough. So we're getting closer and closer to 15 minutes into the game, and there isn't a significant gold lead, but Giants looking to change that. In goes Djoko, forces the flash out of Caedrel. He had that one right off cooldown. And that'll be the end of that for now. For all the vision invested by Giants and H2k, there hasn't been as much action.
At the moment, still waiting for Smittyj to complete his Trinity Force. One of the huge power spikes for him. Sheen is already a great one, just with the way the Q interacts and how you get all the Sheen and Q procs with each other. But just the fact that H2k have not been able to play properly around any side lane has given Giants the early game they kind of were looking for. We also have to remember that Giants stole an Infernal Drake away from H2k in a situation where it should have been possible. So they have been able to defend properly. And we know the late game is fantastic on this Giant side.
I mean, they've shown so many weapons, right? Like in the first game, Steeelback popped off. He's now on a hyper carry Kog'Maw, capable of doing that. We saw just yesterday, Betsy on the Veigar was deleting people at the press of a button. I mean, yeah, he's on Azir now, but come on, like, we haven't seen this guy play this well in a long time.
It's true, like, he's definitely one of the players we looked at and said, okay, it feels like this is the last split for him to prove himself. Like, he's had enough chances. We've not seen great things from Betsy over the last 2 years consistently. We've seen them always. Every split, there are a few games where he really stands out on things like Swain or Vladimir.
He's going to have a really good time once that
the
rework
new
comes
Swain
through.
maybe is going to be something for him. Maybe he's going to hate it because he preferred the old one. We'll see. But I think with Betsy, he's playing really well at the moment and feeling confident here.
Well, Santorin's going to have to walk through the gauntlet of the Sand Soldiers, but unfortunately Betsy runs out of cooldowns now. Ruin. Here's the all-in from Smittyj. Well, it's not as all-in as we thought. He backs off for a second.
It's going to get worse, though, for Ruin later on. He has to be careful every time Smittyj goes from Caedrel. Looking for gank number 2 in the bottom lane, but at the moment, H2k are not really denying any vision. They have no like real safe passage due to very few control wards on the map. There's 1 or 2, sorry, on top side, and most of it otherwise is blue. So it's hard for Caedrel to go unnoticed to the bottom lane, seeing as there's so many wards being placed to try and spot a Ryze roam. He's actually spotted now, leaving the mid lane again. So Ruin knows exactly where Caedrel is on the map.
So this is the thing. H2k, they threw their weight around so much early on, and they had a lot of pressure. But all the vision, ever since, what, 10 minutes into this game or so, started to go the way of Giants. For a team that wants to be at least even into the late game, where they're going to have all the power. I mean, this is looking so good for this team right now, and H2k have to find a way to shut this down, but it doesn't seem like they're given an opening.
And one good thing in the late game for H2k is Camille ulti to try and keep Steeelback or Betsy in place, but that's where the Taric ulti comes in as a great counter. Very easy for Targamas to kind of predict when Smittyj is going in and trying to reach the back line and then pop that Taric ult. Not sure why he's running Ignite. Not really worth it. Could have gone Exhaust in this one, but
just wants to get those kills to Deficio.
he's young, he's bloodthirsty. I'll take it.
He can keep these guys alive. He can get the kills. He protect and he also attack.
Yeah, of course. There it is.
I get one. Promisq's doing the same thing, by the way. Less young, just as bloodthirsty.
Yeah, but they at least have some kill pressure because they're running a Caitlyn lane, right?
That's true. Once that attack speed comes in, he starts stacking up the Winter's Bite procs.
Also, it works against Zac, so there's some value for him.
Speaking of the items as well, I mean, we got to start talking about,
Let's see.
this could be a fight, and Santorin's out. No hesitation there.
in running away.
Yep. And that's quick reaction time.
It's actually amazing how much control Giants have on the map with this comp as well. Like, once again, the minimap is it's control wards from the blue team, not from the red team. H2k not controlling any side of the map.
And they are trying to fight it out, but Djoko, he's going to pull in Smittyj, who says, that's just fine, I'll take this fight, throws down the cage. Caedrel is flashing forward. He's real bloodthirsty here, and the passive is popped inside the Dragon pit. Dragon not been proc just yet, but Targamas and Ruin sniffing around the side. Not going to go for it, so Djoko goes down.
Yeah, just when we praise Giants and their control on the map, they decide to go for a blue buff steal, which actually gave H2k a chance to take a fight. Promisq moved all the way down from base as well. To get a second kill, more or less for nothing. There's very little to gain there on Giant's side by going for that blue buff. That's so good setup with the control wards, and they were just kind of farming.
Yeah, okay, Smittyj runs in, runs out. Does seem like H2k are getting small windows to act on. Giants kind of sniffing out to see if they can go a little farther, a little deeper. But it is kind of a strange game that we've settled ourselves into here. Low kills despite several attempts. Half-hearted attempts, really, though.
We've seen a few flashes being forced. Let's see the setup again. So they move in to contest the blue buff. Ruin is still in his lane, and Targamas is not here just yet. So it's a fairly easy collapse from H2k, and I think Giants expected H2k to have reset and gone back to base with at least multiple members, which is why they only moved in with 2 to actually take the blue buff.
I feel like Djoko expected his team to come fight with him.
I will say, though, Djoko likes to do these random invades. We saw them yesterday. We saw them last week.
Well, last week, it shouldn't have worked, and then it did.
And then it did. And now he's ganking mid.
Okay, looking for Caedrel, tries to find an escape path out. He has got no summoner spells, but he does have a rune prison to throw Djoko into. And that means Giants can't get any farther.
Knock-up missing there on a no-flash Ryze.
Yeah.
Could have been a kill for Giants, but there's no ulti from Djoko either, so couldn't really knock him all the way back. Meanwhile, Sheriff is still trying to do some work top lane. He's been up here for like a good 10 minutes now.
It's the Eternal AD carry fight. I mean, despite the fact that Steeelback's down about 20 CS, it's not really going to matter too much once he keeps on stacking those items that the Ginsu's Rage Blade, of course, completed long ago. And Ruin jumped on. We've seen this movie before. Caedrel coming in for cleanup duty. He's picking up his first kill of the game.
All right, good to see that Caedrel keeps trying bottom lane. This is what we wanted from the champ select. Play around Camille. Let her just destroy this Gnar. Trinity Force is there. Huge spike for Smittyj. The damage will only get better from his side, and Ruin won't be able to stop him 1v1, and definitely won't be able to do anything because Caedrel can always move down. Meanwhile, can Giants get control in mid? That is a no, because they've moved Sheriff and Promisq here on H2k's side. So good map movement here from H2k.
Yeah, nice and reactive. Of course, just building up this advantage slowly. You see some of the gold differences coming in here. It's not huge in that top side, really. The big difference is down in the bot. That's 800 difference. But of course, the Caitlyn, being the lane bully, the one that can pick up the farm a lot faster, always pushing the Kog'Maw back. Where's Djoko going on this map here? Following along behind Betsy.
Actually got a second turret as well, bot lane.
That's that Camille split push.
Huge gain, yeah. Oh, she's so good at killing turrets. I remember when she got released, and you looked at her, and whenever she was in the side lane, first of all, she was obviously completely broken, so you had to like ban her every game. But when she was there, she could kill everyone 1v1, and then she could go to a turret and just, with her Q, probably destroy the turret in like 3-4 seconds.
Yeah.
And you're just like, okay, nice.
Still a solid duelist, too. Although it does look a little bit easier when every single time you throw the cage down, Caedrel's TPing in.
Yeah, that makes it a little bit harder for Ruin, but it's always
kind of
fun.
unfair, 1v2.
We talked a little bit about this last year when Camille was released and she was a thing. Like, the design and the idea around Camille as a champion was that she was supposed to be a mix of a split pusher and a team fighter. So she was kind of a hybrid, where she would not beat the best split pushers in the game 1v1, like Fiora as an example in the late game, but she would be better in team fights than things like Fiora. But she wouldn't be as good in team fights as some of these, you know, a Mega Gnar that can knock 5 members into a wall. So she's just kind of in the middle between team fight and split push, which is why she's so strong when she gets fed, because then she can actually do both things. Because she's just obviously a little bit too hard to deal with there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of ironic because that's the definition of balance. in a different way, I suppose.
So don't
Djoko
feed
coming
the
in.
Camille, and then she can't do both things, and she'll have to settle with trying to kill one guy in a team fight, or just be pretty good in a split push. If she's fed, she just kind of takes over.
I like how Ruin, though, respecting a little bit on the Camille, not going too deep and trying to take the one-on-one fight because he knows it wasn't going to be. Now Santorin and Smittyj starting off in Fog of War on this Mountain Drake. This time, no chance for Djoko to get the steal off, so H2k will be able to secure it. This is going to help the split push as well.
So slow and steady in this game. No other objectives on the map other than the top lane tier 1 tower they can look for with Camille, or the mid lane tier 1 on the side of H2k. Meanwhile, Giants are still just waiting. We did say give them 25 minutes, and then they want to play League of Legends.
Yeah, checking the watch.
Almost at
Still a few
25.
minutes.
Almost at 25. They got 2 items completed, at least on their side.
And they haven't lost too much for that, all things considering. Early on in the game, they played defensively. They started testing the waters. Most of those deaths, just a little bit of disrespect to H2k's counterattack.
I think Caedrel tried like 5 times to go bot lane, and he had to succeed at least once. And he did it actually far enough into the game. They got 2 turrets for it, so that was really good. H2k, at this point here, are looking very scary. And I think even if Giants have been stalling, and that's great, Smittyj is going to be impossible to deal with in the side lane.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for Ruin. I mean, of course, he's still got a couple of solid items. The Black Cleaver, the Frozen Mallet, the Gnar core is all done. But, yeah, he doesn't have to fight against the Camille. Not quite like that before anyways. Now, Caedrel unopposed up on the top side. He might be able to do what the Caitlyn could not. Finish off this tower.
No one
but
gets
as
to
I say,
finish this turret.
Steeelback and Targamas. It's like an alarm bell ringing. They come to the rescue.
Let's see bot lane. I think Djoko is trying to gank Smittyj.
Okay, here we go. Smitty. He's getting the hop. He does have flash. Is he going to use it? Unstoppable. The Cage
Nice
goes down
ulti.
once again. And he gets attack sweep on. Caedrel coming in to try and help defend, but he gets pulled in. Smittyj flashes all over the board, and Ruin gets revenge.
Smittyj there. Actually used a good ulti to buy time, but Mega Gnar from Ruin came in here. Caedrel used both summoners. That one as well. Giants, 25 minutes. It worked. They just got a kill, the first one in the game. And they get to buy even more time because now Smittyj is dead for another 30 seconds.
This is where we start to see the turnaround happen. I'm wondering if we don't see the same gold graph by the end of this game that we saw against G2 Esports
Oh, we
yesterday.
might.
Can we pull that one back up again? I want to see exactly how it worked and if we can track along.
Sitting someone backstage now hating you because they
Yes.
already threw it in the trash can. They
Well, if we don't
run and
get it back, it's okay.
now. They're like, oh.
But I mean, everything's there right now, right? Like, it's low kills. Maybe we'll start to see a few more. Sheriff is taken really low on the health bar. Giants
Hey,
sieging
baby.
3-man.
25 minutes. Giants playing League of Legends right now.
And they don't even have Steeelback with them.
Well, he's right there. He's behind him. Moral
Yeah.
support.
They didn't even have to auto-attack.
They probably sit on a ton of gold as well now. Like multiple members above 1,000.
This is starting to look real good. Now, Caedrel.
This man
Is
in
he
tower.
going to finally
Can he
get
do
the
it?
tower? No, he gets cold.
No, the minions.
All right, makes them do the work.
Actually, the minions will not get it. I think the cannon just died.
Wow.
Caedrel's on his way back. He's coming back.
Look at the camera up
Let's
there.
show him. This is the walk of
Oh,
shame. Oh, he actually got it.
Now the minions got
He
it.
just got it the last second.
So he just wanted the farm.
Smittyj just died. He's angry now.
He's still going to be able to split push like none other at this point.
He had a really good spot there, though, where on the side of Ruin, there was only Ninja Tabby as the armor item. So he's kind of like, okay, I can actually like kill you. But now, after Ruin got that kill and bought a bit more time, he's got back and he's going for Randuin's. So now there's suddenly a lot more armor he has to get through on this Camille. Luckily for Smittyj, there's lifesteal on his side now, and he's gonna get the Taric as well we talked about.
Well, here's Djoko.
Djoko!
Okay, he finds the Braum, can't connect the stretching strike on Sheriff. Promisq Q. Takes a few love taps before he throws down the Unbreakable. Now the Fun Disc is up.
Things are looking very good for Giants at the moment. They have control of mid. They can keep forcing team fights. Betsy's on 3 items at the moment. They got that Infernal Drake from earlier. And Baron goes down very quick when you have this comp here.
Oh, they're going to start this?
You gotta at least put a control ward in there. Don't be
It's
lazy.
in plain sight, too. There we go. Clear that vision out. Now the control goes down for Santorin. This is
Look how
incredibly
fast
low.
it is.
The steal up.
Oh!
No, we can't quite do it. And Santorin is just a hair's breadth too late. Steeelback picking up his first kill of the game. And now they're turning the fight once more onto H2k. Promisq Q is unbreakable. But Giants charging down the line with 5-member on the Baron buff. Minions leading the charge right behind him, and now the siege begins.
The 25-minute comp here from Giants, really showing why. If you just let it sit and scale, it suddenly takes over. Full control of mid lane. They get one engage where they force H2k back, and then they rush down Baron in just a matter of seconds.
Oh boy.
Smittyj is behind right now, but there's 10 seconds on Santorin, so he can't do anything.
They're looking to dive Promisq. Sheriff, he's a little bit low, and he's going to force Djoko to bounce back, but it doesn't matter. Giants really have bounced back after the start this game when they were getting pushed in, getting the first inhibitor, 28 minutes on the clock. Not going to push their luck, and they back out. And Coach Naruto is very happy.
Nice Spanish right there.
Yeah. Well, I grew up in San Diego, Deficio. You have to learn Spanish. It's kind of mandatory.
Do you speak fluent Spanish?
No hablo español.
Well, this is the back being rushed down, and yes, Santorin technically gets a chance of stealing it away, but it is the winners who write history. The Giants said they wasn't even close, and that it was a clean Baron call from their side.
Yeah, H2k...
The rest of us did see
H2k
Santorin,
and Baron have a very tenuous relationship, it would seem. Yesterday, it was a bad call. This time, it was reacting to a good call that sunk them. Now, it gets even better for Giants right now. There's an Infernal Drake in 35 seconds. They're not in position to take it, but they don't need to be.
Let's go back, look at this game here and see what more H2k could have done early on. They had the first gank for Santorin, they gave them a first blood mid, but then almost no investment into control wards in the river meant that Giants actually spotted H2k's roams almost every single time. Ruin managed to stay alive for a lot longer than he should have. Only died once in that side lane to a Caedrel roam. Definitely one of the problems for H2k. They didn't really get the side lanes going.
But now we can see why Djoko opted to take the Zac pick, because it's just letting them set up these fights. And now Sheriff, he's nearly gone down to 0, and he's burning away from the Ignite. Targamas get the kill. The bloodthirsty support. And now Santorin is going to be next to fall. Caedrel might be out, but he is steadily running out of base to get to. And it looks like Giants want to close this one nice and easy. Yesterday, H2k lost in 31 minutes, and it looks like Giants are about to beat that record. Looking for Smittyj. Ruin hopping around the side, and it's going to be Promisq pulled back in. Steeelback with another kill, and Giants, once that go button was pressed, there was no turning back around. Shy of 30 minutes on the clock, they want to clean up. Caedrel going for the fountain time. For the swag kill, they're not going to be able to get it in the end. Flashing off, and the game is over. Giants with the win.
Fastest game of the split here from Giants. They legit just didn't want to do anything for 25 minutes with this draft. They fell behind a little bit, but not enough to be in huge trouble. And the moment they got a kill on Smittyj in bot lane, bought them another 1.5 minutes. We hit 25. They pushed up mid, forced a little fight, took a Baron, won the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's bing, bang, boom. It was so easy to watch them just do that, execute the plan to the fullest.
And we also got to say on the other side, like, H2k doing their best right now to try and push the average game time in Europe down. Because with that 31 minutes yesterday, now 30 minutes today, when things start going down and wrong for H2k, it crashes in a matter of minutes. Both times, yesterday and today, it's about them not getting a Baron. The other team gets that objective, and then they just run straight at H2k, take another fight, win game.
Eerily similar. Not in exactly what happened, but in the way that the game actually unfolded towards the end. And this is why these stock standard scale till the end of the game comps seem so popular in 8.1, but I don't think any team's executed them quite like Giants have.
Definitely was hard for H2k to kill the bottom lane. Again, we keep talking about Taric gold, stopwatches, so that lane is tricky. The other lane, there was a mini Gnar that could get punished harder. There was a mid lane that could have been attacked again. There were more vision that could have been focused on. There were things for H2k to try and change, but that didn't happen. So Giants said, let's keep farming. And then Steeelback hit 3 items, Betsy hit 3 items. Djoko was engaging like a madman 24/7.
Yeah, I mean, he was starting it early on. We saw some previews when he went in for the blue, and then he tried to pull back. It was insane, but overall, Giants Gaming, absolutely the better team on the day.
3-1 now.
Can't take anything away from these guys. They are hot. So now if you tune in after the break, you're going to find out what Betsy has to say after Giants win. Excuse me, it's not Betsy, it's Targamas. So we're going to have Unicorns of Love and Rocket stepping on stage after that. Be sure to stick around. We'll be right back. Caedrel could show up and shut up Betsy. We'll find out. We're loading on to Summoner's Rift for day 2.
It's not spotted. Just snuck his way around the corner.
Oh, looking for Betsy to flash, and they're going to get an easy peasy first blood. Okay, here we go, Smittyj. He's getting the hop. He does have flash. Is he going to use it? Unstoppable. The Cage goes down once again. And he gets attack sweep on. Caedrel coming in to try and help defend, but he gets pulled in. Smittyj flashes all over the board, and Ruin gets revenge. Are they going to start this?
You gotta at least put a control ward in there. Don't be
It's
lazy.
in plain sight, too. There we go. Clear that vision out. Now the control goes down for Santorin. This is
Look how
incredibly
fast
low.
it is.
The steal up. Oh, no, we can't quite do it. And Santorin is just a hair's breadth too late. Steeelback with another kill. And Giants, once that go button was pressed, there was no turning back around. Shy of 30 minutes on the clock. They want to clean up. Caedrel going for the fountain time. For the swag kill. They're not going to be able to get it in the end. Flashing off, and the game is over.